right, good evening, everyone. It is 6 p.m., September 20th, 2021. It's time to call the Franklin City Council meeting to order. Ms. Rose, roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Austin?
Here.
Mr. Blankenship?
And if you do that again, I reach out.
Mr. Houston?
I'm here.
Ms. Jones?
Here.
Ms. McGinnis?
Here.
Mr. Rainierson?
Here.
Mr. Taylor?
Here.
Sir, you have a quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Brian Reese, prayer pledge.
I'd like to join me. Our Father, we come to you this evening, thankful and grateful for another day of life. And I pray as we assemble together here in this room, I pray for our council, our mayor, as they lead our city and make decisions on behalf of the constituents they represent. And I pray they do so with wisdom and clarity of mind. As we look at the agenda tonight, I just pray that everything that's on it will be handled according to what is best for our city. And even as we enter into a period of time where council and mayor are looking at the budget, may we always remember that it's really clear what our priorities are when we look at where we spend our money and our time, and may the city's priorities be represented in the decisions made about the budget. And we pray to continue to protect us here in our city, our first responders, be with our military, and our country. Lead us and guide us by your almighty hand. It's in your name we pray. Amen. We can stand together for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Is there anybody that has anything on their announcements, presentations, or public comment that's not on the agenda? Hearing none, we will close public comments. We'd like to say that sitting in our Mayor's Youth Council chair tonight is Ms. Jenna Newton, who was last year's president and this year's vice president. Thank you, Jenna. Okay, that gets us to the consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda. Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now we're going to old business.
Move to read all business by title only.
Second.
Motion and a second to read by title only. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Item number one, public hearing. We're going to open up here. We're going to present actually the budget was presented for introduction August 16th. So we've all had quite some time it was online. We've all had some time to look at it. So tonight is going to be open for public hearing. Just a recap of what we have that we presented to the council, and the council met with myself one-on-one and talked over how we thought our city was going and what our preferences would be for the money that we had. And we all felt like our people, employees, are the most important asset that we have trying to run our city. So we focused on giving good raises, especially to our police and fire this year, to get us caught up, and to the rest of our employees that we know work really hard for the city. So actually in our 100 series, which is wages, $532,945 added to wages. There was just a little bit added to infrastructure, which was $15,000 for sidewalks and alleys and that. We already had $600,000 here, so we added $15,000 to that. 300 series, $119,000. So a total of $667,149. 3.85% increase to the budget. We added again salaries, trash collection. Trash collection will end up being another topic that we're going to have to come back and talk about as a group with the council as it continues to go up, as everything else does. Professional services, $55. That was a rounding figure, how that happened. Our arts council, $15,000. Utilities and city court, $3,000. And then again, the infrastructure board work. So that's where we come up with this $667,149. So that is basically the short, quick end of what our budget is. Like I said, it's online if anybody had looked at it since August the 16th. So at this point, I will go ahead and open it up for public hearings. Anyone in the audience have any questions or comments? Glad to hear it now. Okay, hearing none. We'll close the public hearing, and now any questions or comments from the council? The adoption will be October 18th. No, it's October 4th. I'm sorry, I'll take that back. October the 4th is the adoption of the budget. So is there any questions tonight that needs to be addressed now?
Just appreciate you taking the time to meet with us all and go over this. It's very helpful every year when you do that.
And please, anyone on this board, city council, always feel free to reach out to the department head if you need better understanding or anything that you can do to help them. It's appreciated. So. Okay, hearing, I guess if there's no other questions, we can move on to item number 2. Which August the 4th, again, for the budget will be adoption night. Item number 2, we can adopt it tonight. Common Council Budgetary Ordinance number 21-17, an additional appropriation ordinance ARP Grant Fund Services 176-001-300, an amount of $10,000 for the treasurer, Jane Rhodes.
Thank you, sir. If you will recall last meeting, we talked about we have under contract Barnes and Thornburg to help us with our ARPA money. Not only my department to be able to, so when we're audited, everything is great. They're also going to help us on a monthly basis with any type of, when we have to present our plan for how we're going to use that. And so they're on a retainer for $2,500 a month. And so the $10,000, which we are able to pay with the ARPA money, but I need to appropriate that much.
Okay, and I will just add to that, we are working on this now, and I hope in the next couple city council meetings to be able to present something to you with this. And it hasn't really changed as far as, I think you may have read it in the newspaper as well, to remodel as Fire Station 21 and to work on our Active Adult Wellness Center to remodel that. The FDC is working on a couple housing projects that we believe the money is eligible for. We have a sewer project that needs to be done that's has to do with a compliance that we will be wanting to ask to use some money for that. There was one more, it's off the top of my head, that we'll be coming back and ask the council approval in the next few weeks. And there's certain things you can use the money for and certain things you can't, so it's kind of how do you figure out to be responsible with the funds that we've been given and make a big impact. So that's where we're at. So at this time, it's open for public hearing. Is there anybody in the audience have any questions on that? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing, and I think you had something you want to add. We can pass this one.
Yeah, this one is separate. This was old business here, this last one.
It's okay.
We'll need to take a vote on this one.
Okay. So back to the ordinance, what we're talking about just tonight is the Common Council Budgetary Ordinance 21-17, additional appropriations to pay for the attorney fees, the $10,000 that can be paid for out of AR.
Correct. That's what it is.
Move to approve. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any disapprove? Thank you. Thank you. It's this new business.
Read new business by title only. Second.
We have a motion and a second to read new business by title only. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and I'm also, the motion carries. I'm also going to make a motion. We have two very nice, well, first attorneys in the room. Three, 4, 5. I better watch what I'm saying. I had to think of that one. There's a lot of attorneys in there. So. Anyway, I'm going to ask the council if we could move items number 5 and number 6 up to the start of new business. So I would need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second to move 5 and 6 to the front. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, I'm going to go ahead and go with item number 5. Dustin, you're the lucky man since it's 5. Common Council Ordinance number 21-22, rezoning to be known as Kingsbridge PUD introduction. Senior Planner Joanna Tennell, and this is introduction only tonight.
Good evening. Before you is the introduction of the Kingsbridge PUD. The request is for property located west of US 31 and south of Knollwood Farms in Park Forest. It's approximately 150 acres. Previously before you was an annexation request for the 30-plus acres on the west side, which has been approved and recorded and is now part of the city of Franklin. This was heard by the Planning Commission at their August 17th meeting and was forwarded with a favorable recommendation with conditions to council. The proposal, which is the concept plan, the detailed plan before you, is for 240 residential lots, 3 blocks, 2 of which will be commercial in nature, and 1 is proposed to be multifamily. The primary plat was also heard at that August 17th meeting and was granted approval with a waiver request contingent upon the annexation and the rezonings going through and becoming effective. The 2 conditions of approval, one was the effectiveness of the annexation, that the dedication of the public park and any proposed amenities are subject to review and acceptance by the City of Franklin Park Board, and that on page 18 of Exhibit B, that garages and sheds would be permitted or deleted as permitted accessory uses and would be prohibited. In your attachment on Exhibit B, that outlines the entire proposal for the development, including all of the standards, which also includes a list of architectural standards for the construction of the homes themselves. This is set for public hearing October 4th.
Thank you. So it's public hearing on the 4th. The council can certainly ask any question at this time if you choose. We'll wait until the 4th. Sounds like we're going to wait until the 4th. Thank you, Joanna. Okay, item number 6. Common Council Ordinance number 21-23, amending ordinance number 92-16 to change the administration of the physical agility test requirements for enrollment of an application as a member of the Franklin Police Department and allow the Merit Commission to place a member of the Franklin Police Department subject to criminal charges on paid or unpaid administrative leave of absence. Police Merit Board Attorney William Barrett and City Attorney Lynn Gray.
And Mr. Mayor, as Mr. Barrett makes his way to the podium, I would like to ask the council's consideration tonight if they would consider adopting this on first reading. As you're all aware, there are certain types of ordinances that can be adopted on first reading. Zoning ordinances are not those kinds of things, rezonings and things don't usually entertain them. This is one that would fall within that classification if you so desire. In order to do that, what would have to happen, and we'll consider it after Bill make some presentation. The entire board would have to consent to hearing it and taking action on first reading. So that would require a 7 vote. And then a majority of the vote would have to get to pass the ordinance. Quite frankly, one of the reasons that I think you might want to consider it, it's certainly up to you, your discretion, is I know what your October 4th agenda looks like, and these typically types of changes come to you with favorable recommendation by the merit board themselves, and have to be vetted on numerous occasions at hearings on them. So it's something for you to consider. It's already asked.
Thank you, Ms. Gray. Mayor, council members, at the outset, somewhere, probably at my end, there's been a transmission that got dark. Because you approved this ordinance that's on the screen on first reading several months ago. And I'm actually here on yet another amendment to the Merit Commission ordinance. I'm happy to discuss it, but it's not, I don't see it before you.
Yeah, it
Wait
is
a minute,
actually.
wait a minute.
There it is, it's that.
There it is.
There it is.
Ah, there we go.
It's on the agenda wrong, it's that.
Okay.
That is the one that's there, yes.
Okay.
We're-
Well, that solves that.
But it probably makes sense, Bill, it's just for those people in the audience to know what this one actually.
Yes, yeah.
Thank
that's what I do.
you, thank you.
Okay, so you can ignore the heading from the last one. This is a completely different topic, and I find myself, as I often seem to, coming in front of you to go through the arcane issues that arise out of Merit Commission jurisdiction under the statutes and ordinances in effect here. And in this instance, we're here to look at a resolution by the Police Merit Commission asking you to amend the ordinance to put in a procedure to allow the deputy chief to exercise top disciplinary jurisdiction in the event that a chief has a relative in the department. The reason for this is because, of course, the state's nepotism statute and the city's nepotism policy prohibit a chief from supervising a relative. They prohibit any supervisor who works for a municipality from supervising a relative. That's simple. That's baked into the cake of Indiana's nepotism laws. As you all know, Chief Cochran's son has been hired as a merit officer. There was never a question that Chief Cochran couldn't supervise him. As I said, baked in the cake. But that doesn't answer the question of who can supervise him. Because normally, in a department that's not governed by statute, the supervisor can simply be the next person in line and can supervise the relative of the top supervisor. It's pretty easy. But Indiana's merit statutes, including the portions that you've adopted in your ordinances, vest in the chief. That's the word in the statute and the ordinance. The chief has the authority to suspend somebody for up to 5 days or ask the Merit Commission to do more than that. Nobody else has that authority except the chief. So it's easy for the nepotism statutes to say, chief can't do anything because it's a relative of the chief. It doesn't say who can. So the way you've drafted your ordinance, you have the ability to tweak the statutory language. And so what we're asking for is that tweak to answer the question, who can supervise a relative of the chief? And we vested it in the office of the deputy chief. And that's all we're doing.
So, again, Lynn, what do we need to do?
Well, you need to do twofold. The ordinance itself is in your packet, in spite of what was read by the mayor. He read what was actually, the ordinance itself is actually twofold. Number one, make a motion to consider on first reading, consider adoption on first reading, and that was passed 7-0.
I'll move for consideration of adoption on first reading.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so we can adopt it.
Correct. And now in order to adopt it, it has to pass by a 2/3 vote of the entire membership, so whoever the 4.66% is, but I was concerned that 5 of you must have passed it. And essentially, in lay terms, in the likelihood that there's ever discipline is necessary, it's the deputy chief that would, and it only makes sense that would be the proper charges in the likelihood.
I'll move for approval of Franklin Police Merit Commission Resolution 2021-02.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none.
And Mayor, I'm going to further complicate. Technically, what you are moving to approve is Common Council Ordinance 21-23, adopting the Merit Commission's resolution. So, you amend your ordinance, your motion, so.
So amended. Second.
Okay, we have the motion amended. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, now, I hate to say this, but I'm a little bit confused. That just passed.
Right.
Now we're looking at the next one, 92-16. To change administrative and physical agility test
Yeah, we
requirement.
That was
already did it.
great. That was the one we took care of a few months ago.
Yeah, you've done all of those things.
Yeah.
What's happened is, it just, at the clerk treasurer's office, they just pulled it over.
We didn't pull it.
You know,
Okay.
they pulled it over, but you have passed the right ordinance. That's what we thought was yeah.
Okay.
Do you want a roll call?
No, because there were no
Okay.
objections, so it's 7-0.
Well, thank you very much. That will clear up any question in the public's mind, how this is being treated for anybody in the future, and this resolves it. So thank you. We'll get a hearing at the Merit Commission and implement the ordinance as part of the Merit Commission's rules. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Okay, now we can go back to new business under number 1. Common Council Resolution number 21-13, resolution authorizing cash change amounts for the Parks and Recreation Department, repealing and replacing Resolution 1804, Park Superintendent Chip Warner.
It's a 31. 2131.
Yeah.
Okay. This is 13.
Good evening. So I didn't realize that the last time we did this was 2018. I was just reading this a second ago, but we're asking to up the change fund at the front gate of the pool from 400 to 600, mainly because people are paying with 20s all the time, and we're usually out of change in the first 15 minutes. So we're trying to up that so we can have more change in it. That's all this is.
I was telling Chip earlier today, Kenny, that you were around long enough to remember he had $50.
Yeah.
Then it was 100 and then 200.
And here we are. All of that from our money.
Next month, it'll be Bitcoin. I must up the Bitcoin.
We can do that now if you want to.
See, I got something from the youth council, they got it.
Hey, this can be passed tonight.
This can.
I'll make a motion to approve Common Council Resolution 21-31.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Chip. Okay, item number 2, Common Council Budgetary Ordinance number 21-18, an additional appropriation MVA services in the amount of $640 to refund mowing liens elected by Johnson County and paid to the city of Franklin and Air. Clerk Treasurer Jane Rhodes.
This is introduction.
This one is introduction.
Yes.
I spoke with Lynn on Friday concerning this. It's something new that we've not had this problem before. It was brought to my attention when I received the weed settlement that we get after property taxes have been collected. They send me a check and a list of people that paid them. Well, there was one on there that I had no record of. And so I checked with Dave Walters, who is the code enforcement officer that does the mowing liens. He had nothing. I checked at the street department with Stephanie. She had nothing. So I called them back. Well, come to find out, it had been paid quite some time ago, but they didn't catch it. And so they had still been billing for this property. Well, it went to a corporation. Corporation didn't, it wouldn't be like it was me. I would have looked at my tax thing and wondered why I was continuing to pay that. So the county has a statute that they only have to pay 3 years back. No matter how long it goes, they can only pay 3 years back. So we need to refund the county the $618.
So we've been paid twice. So it's not, okay. And Jane, our first response was,
Sorry about the.
why wouldn't you know? She and I would have caught it immediately, but this company in Texas, they just pay bills and funds, but technically it's not our money.
And this one is introduction only.
That is
So
correct.
we will go on to item number 3, if that's okay with everyone. Request to liquidate encumbrance 25-149 for Dave O'Mara in the amount of $18,516.01 for the 2020 Community Crossings Grant, Treasurer Jane Rhodes. And this one
No.
this one's introduction. No, this one can be done.
Yeah.
Additional.
This one
Right,
can be done.
because we're just moving the money.
Right.
Right.
Very good.
This is from, and I probably will need Mark's help on this one because it's a community crossings.
Yes, this is for the Jim Black Road project, and the cost of the project was less than the contract amount by the amount shown on the resolution or the request. So this is just returning the funds that are unspent back to, I think in this case it's the RDC. Is that right, Kristen? Yeah.
That he did.
Okay, so this one, we can take action on this one tonight.
I make a motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we'll go to the next item. It's Common Council Budgetary Ordinance number 21-19, additional appropriation, local road and bridge matching grant fund capital 2020-270-005-400 in the amount of $16,971. Clerk Treasurer Jane Rhodes. And this one is introduction
Correct.
only tonight. Correct.
And Jane would like me to address this. Because we didn't spend all the funds in the contract for the Jim Black Road project, this was funded at a 50% level by Community Crossings. And for some reason, NDOT expects us to return spent funds back to them. So the $16,971 is the invoice amount that we received last week, and we'll have to return those funds to NDOT by within 30 days of receiving that invoice.
Okay, that one's introduction, and I know, I'll just throw this out there, that it sounds like that's a lot of money to return, but at the size of the contract that we have to, Mark has to try to estimate for the matching grants, I think that's returning, that's pretty reasonable. So you did a good job on estimating them, I think.
What was the total grant?
Well, we had actually 2 different projects that were funded, a total of $1 million, and this was a smaller project that was, I believe, about $240,000 that was in outlets for community projects.
We should estimate my home projects.
Okay, so that one's introduction only, and that gets us, there's no other business, so, and it isn't nice to have a normal city council meeting. So we'll just start, I'm gonna go alphabetical order. Mr. Austin.
Mark, the second phase of Jim Black Road, when does that begin?
When does the project begin?
When is the next phase?
Oh,
of
next
Jim Black
phase of
Road?
Jim Black Road will be next spring.
Okay.
We will fight for community crossings funds for the next phase. That will take us from where the north end of the phase one project ended up to just north of McLean Drive. We've split it into 3 phases so that we could possibly take advantage of the opportunity for community crossings funding. But that will go to letting in January of 2022, and it will go to construction shortly, as soon as weather breaks.
Is it the idea of having, maybe I should know this, is it 3 lanes all the way to the stop sign, all the way past,
All the way to Upper Shelbyville?
is it?
Yes, it will.
It will be.
Yeah.
And it'll be all of it will be finished next year? Or the year before, or the year after?
It may be the year after, it just depends on how the funding works out.
You know, that's an expensive project specifically, and it seemed to me that that road was closed for a very long time, for a very short amount that was, I mean, I don't know, it just seemed to me that
It was less than 60 days, and that was a total reconstruction of that road.
wow, it was less than 60 days.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you. Yeah, I don't have anything else.
Okay, Mr. Black, no comments, sir. Mr. Hughes,
No comment.
Mr. Jones,
Tonight,
Mrs. McGinnis,
no comment.
Mr. Rogers.
Sorry, I wasn't here last meeting. My apologies.
Yeah, me too. Hey,
Kenny wasn't here either.
I was in Chicago, I couldn't be here.
I was in the Pacific Northwest, so I was clearly not here.
Okay. Mr. Taylor.
Nothing tonight, sir.
Mrs. Rhodes.
Nothing, sir.
Mrs. Gibbs.
So the mayor's youth council's had 2 meetings so far. They've both been really good. We've had a lot of people come out. Right now, you've probably seen it on social media, but we're doing the collection drive for the refugees at Cape Atterbury. So we've received a lot of donations between the Parks Department here, the high school and the middle school. Our plan is to do it for 2 weeks, but they will be needing donations past that, so we'll just kind of touch base as a council after that. But we've already received a lot of support from the community, and I've seen it all over social media. So if you could just do us a favor by reposting or even bringing in contributing stuff to that. With that, Mayor Barnett talked to us at our last meeting about actually going for like a tour of the facilities at Atterbury, and just kind of getting to know what's going on there and meet some of the refugees there. So hopefully we get to do that soon, preferably during school day, so we get out for a field trip. But Tara is saying it's not gonna happen. Anyways, I was looking forward to that, but the only other thing is the council just talked to about kind of like our big project for the year. And we tossed a lot of things around. Chip came to our last meeting to talk about some different project ideas, but I think one that we really liked at the last meeting was the free public Wi-Fi access to that, and that being something that we'd like to kind of look more into and talk to some people about. I think we have like some grants that we could try to go forward for that could help support us in that. So next meeting is next week, and hopefully we'll figure something out along those lines.
Okay, just so you know, Jenna, we did have, I haven't talked to you, but we have had conversation with a provider, and I think they may come to the next meeting.
Oh, perfect.
So, is there something you can move with? and talk
Yeah.
about?
Our other idea was, we had Chip come in because a lot of the council wanted to do like a mini golf, like putt-putt scenario. And it seemed like a great idea, but that's a huge project. And so is putting in Wi-Fi around town. But we kind of got to look into what's more realistic, and I think everyone could benefit from some of the Wi-Fi access, so.
Jen, I got a question, excuse me, Mayor. Do you have locations for drop off at the Parks Department or anywhere at the city for refugees?
Yes.
Or do we need to go
Yeah, there's one right out there. I need to get the stuff and collect it. It's at the rec center as well, the high school and middle school. So last time I checked at the high school too, we had some full bins. So
So at the rec center, I can drop some stuff on.
yes, that'd be perfect.
Or here, there's one right outside the store too.
Right.
Yep.
Thank you.
And you're gonna send a list out to everyone that.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty big list too, so there's a lot of different options. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Ms. Gray?
Nothing, sir.
Always leave the attorney for last. All right. I don't have anything outside of I appreciate the council we have, and I appreciate the city employees that we have that do a great job for our city. So that's all I have. We'll move on to the adjournment.
So,
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.